Nephrons are the structural and functional units of kidney. Each of the two kidneys contains approximately 1 million nephrons. Let's have a look into the structure of a nephron. Nephron has two parts, glomerulus and renal tubule. Renal tubule is divided into Bowman's capsule, PCT or the proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, and DCT or distal convoluted tubule. Henle's loop is a U-shaped structure with a descending limb and an ascending limb. These two limbs are joined by a hairpin bend in between them. Depending on the length of Henle's loop, nephrons can be of two types. The nephrons with short Henle's loop are the cortical nephrons, and those with long Henle's loop are the juxtamedullary nephrons. Henle's loop of juxtamedullary nephron is surrounded by branches of efferent arteriole, which is also known as vasa recta. Now, we have the basic knowledge to understand what countercurrent mechanism is. When fluid flows in opposite directions in two parallel limbs, it is known as countercurrent. Countercurrent is seen in two limbs of loop of Henle and also in the two limbs of vasa recta. Henle's loop is the countercurrent multiplier and vasa recta is the countercurrent exchanger. The filtrate that enters Henle's loop is isotonic to blood with an osmolarity of approximately 300 milliosmol per liter. The descending limb is freely permeable to water, but it is impermeable to sodium ions. As the filtrate passes down the descending limb, water comes out into the interstitium via aquaporin 1 channels, which are present in the thin part of the descending limb. But there is no movement of sodium ions. So, the osmolarity of the fluid increases gradually. At the lowest part of the descending limb, osmolarity becomes almost 1200 milliosmol per liter. So, it is hypertonic with respect to blood. Now, this fluid ascends along the ascending limb. The permeability of the ascending limb is just the opposite of that of descending limb. That means ascending limb is permeable to sodium ions, but it doesn't allow movement of water. Sodium ions come out in the interstitium via Na plus K plus 2Cl minus co-transporters which are present in the thick part of the ascending limb. As this movement is not followed by water, the osmolarity of the fluid starts decreasing. Eventually, it becomes isotonic and then hypotonic. When sodium ions come to the interstitium from the ascending limb, the osmolarity of the interstitium also increases. Now, more and more water is drawn from the descending limb and the fluid in the descending limb becomes more hypertonic. When this hypertonic fluid comes to the ascending limb, more sodium ions are extracted from it. This cycle goes on. As a result of this process, the medullary interstitium shows a vertically increasing osmotic gradient starting from 300 milliosmol per liter at the corticomedullary junction to 1200 milliosmol per liter at the apex of renal pyramids. This is the so-called countercurrent mechanism, and Henle's loop is the countercurrent multiplier. Vasa recta has also a similar trend of osmolarity changes. That's why it is the countercurrent exchanger. It helps to maintain the osmolarity gradient from the renal cortex to the medulla. If vasa recta were a straight tube, instead of being U-shaped, the medullary osmotic gradient would have been lost and hyperosmolar fluid would have been excreted out. After the medullary osmotic gradient has been established, dilute or concentrated urine can be formed as per the osmotic status of the body. When plasma osmolarity is high, concentrated urine is formed. In such conditions, ADH, that is, the antidiuretic hormone, is released from the posterior pituitary. This hormone increases reabsorption of water from the collecting duct via aquaporin 2 channels. But when water content is more in the body, dilute urine is excreted out. This time, ADH secretion from the posterior pituitary decreases. As a result, water reabsorption from the collecting duct also reduces, and the person passes out a large volume of dilute urine. Now, you know what countercurrent mechanism is. Go ahead and check out my video on renin-angiotensin system to know how it helps to regulate the blood pressure in human body. Thanks for watching.